Welcome to the Master Your Millions podcast, the show all about your financial potential and leaving a legacy for future generations. Here are your hosts, Jason and Scott Henderson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm your host, Scott Henderson, and this is my co-host, Dr. J. We are experienced investors with a huge advantage of over 100 years of wisdom and experience in investing. And we are super excited for our guest today. Jason, tell us who we have coming on.
Well, today we have a like-minded person. That's one of the fun things about doing this podcast is we run into other people that think a lot like we do. And Maeli certainly does. She has a long history in the space of investing in real estate, and even more so, wanting to be in control of her life and her time. She's a mother of two and still is doing very, very well from a business point of view, from a financial point of view, for the fact that she wanted to have more time and to be able to do what she wants when she wants. Maeli, real quick, just maybe a 30, 40-second response. Tell us a little bit about your journey to where you are now.
It's a long one, so.
I'm certain it is, like everyone's. Just kind of short, and then we want to move on. You have a project that we're pretty interested in. We'd want to talk a little bit more details about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Honestly, it's just simply because I wanted generational wealth. And, my family, that was absolutely not a thing. I came from extreme poverty. And I think that if people would have just been educated in my family and recognized that you need to be educated, you can't just pretend like you know what you're doing in life. You actually have to get educated and surround yourself around people who are doing exactly what you're doing. And so that's exactly what I chose to do. I surrounded myself with a bunch of people who had the life, the time, the freedom that I wanted. And so kind of bada bing, bada boom, 7 years later, here I am. But I currently own $17.5 million worth of real estate. It's not too bad. We're doing pretty good. But our primary MO is, fix and flips, but we're drastically changing into the seller finance market. So that's kind of where we're headed and, pivoting through this uncertain time, which is great for us. I mean, I'm super excited. I'm like, yeah, that's more money. I'm all, but anyway.
So you have several fix and flips right now, correct?
Yes.
How many?
So we currently have 9 and then a 14 unit.
And then a 14 unit that we're going to talk about. So there's this old building in Ogden, Utah. Tell us a little bit about that building.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so great. I should show you some pictures. So I'll send you some if you ever want to upload it on like your podcast or whatever. So it was the first school. So it was a nursing school in Ogden, and it was the first school in all of Utah to provide those types of services. And so we have pictures of like 1886, all these nurses in all these white gowns with those little so cute outside of this building with all of the like horse and buggy, and it's pretty awesome. And then obviously fast forward. So what happened was in I think it was 2004, they actually burnt down the school got burned down. And so all but the first bottom, like the basement level, was burnt. So they rebuilt it in 1908. And so the current condition in which it is that I purchased is the 1908 version. But it was really cool because we have demo of this property, and what we found is so amazing. Like we found the original road that used to go through, like all sorts of. Yeah. So it's 20,000 square feet. It's a very large building. It's right across the street from the Ogden Temple. So it's prime location. And honestly, it had been sitting for 15 years. So that's kind of the creativity, right? As an investor, you have to have the vision of like, okay, what can I do with this building? Like what could this be and how can we make money with it? Because it sat for 15 years. Obviously, I had talked to so many people in Ogden or just in the investor world who were like, we've been through that building. We tried to make it work. It doesn't 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 work. Right. And they had plenty of people who had it under, contract, and then they backed out and all sorts of things. And so we did have under due diligence for 6 months, kind of a long time, not really though in the commercial world, right? And trying to figure out how to make these numbers work, because it's a psycho expensive remodel because the whole thing has to be redone. I mean, from top to bottom, right? All electrical, all plumbing, and you have to bring in plumbing because it was only I had like one bathroom in the entire facility. What? Like, how is this? I'm kind of confused. Like, how is 20,000 square feet? There's one bathroom? There's problems. Anyway, so we really had to do a complete rehaul on it. But as far as like the drafts and plans, and it just kept going through a ton of plans over and over. And we almost actually did forfeit the plan. Like, we honestly forfeited the entire project just because we just couldn't make it work. Right. And if you can't make money, it's just numbers, and you can't get emotional, even though kind of I was on this one. Just because it was so cool. Like, I just wanted to be able to restore it and have so much fun. I try not to get, too excited as far as emotional attachment to anything, because it's just numbers. But I did talk to a few people at the planning department in Ogden, and they're like, you know what, I think we can get you to, I think we actually could get this property to get rezoned. And so went through all that the planning department to get it rezoned. And so now it's a multifamily, right? So we can do a 14-unit apartment complex. So that was super fun to be able to get it converted over. It was a lot of work, so I'm not saying that it wasn't, but it pays off to obviously just keep your head in the grind and to just be like, no, I'm doing this. I just got to figure it out. And so that's kind of where we were. I will say though, unfortunately, this is where we're at in the project now. So we've had this property for 17 months. I have a show called Flipping Nightmares. And there's a reason. There's not one project that ever goes as you think, obviously. And people love to hear horror stories, right? Here's a good horror story for you. So we've had this property for 17 months, and we've demoed the entire thing out. So it's incredible what we found. I mean, first off, the lady that purchased it in 1970. So she's owned this. She had owned that property for like 70 years or whatever before we purchased it. And she turned it into it's called Little Audrey's in Ogden. For anybody that knows Ogden, you probably have heard this building because it's such a like iconic building in Ogden. And she turned everything in this building purple.
Whoa.
Everything.
Wow.
Everything. All the carpet, all the drapery, like velvet purple. Like,
and you're gonna leave it like that, right? That's the reno is going back to purple.
All going back to purple. That's right. She even dyed the pool purple, guys.
Wow.
She dyed the pool. Like, seriously? I love you, Audrey, but honestly, that's a little intense. Like, I'm just saying, she's long passed away. And so it sat so when she passed away, they forfeited, they closed doors. And so it sat for 15 years. And so, yeah, when I purchased it, I can't wait to show you the before pictures. Oh man, was it just so because she had a gym there, right? So like a spa, she even upholstered all of her furniture. Everything was purple, everything.
Wow.
So tell me what was your first impressions when you saw the building, walked in? Was it excitement, or tell me what were your first impressions?
So I do all the design for our business, and that's my job. So I literally show up to every one of our properties and I just kind of got everything right and rearrange everything and create the new floor plan to create a better flow. So for me, I was just like, oh, it's so exciting because it really was so beautiful. And to have a building that has been restored, honestly, it was in really great condition for what it was. It was a pretty unique scenario, and that nobody, like, we're the only people fighting for this property. I couldn't believe why. I know why now, but but it was honestly, it was just like a dream because I've always wanted to be able to do a big project like that. It had been something really exciting for me. My husband, however, who's owns the construction side of the company, right? He's like, how are you even possibly going to redo all of this? But
so was the plan always to turn it into 14 units? Did that come later with the city? I mean,
yeah, the original, we tossed doing like condos instead, just because, the type of building that it is almost justifies being just like high-end luxury condos, but we couldn't get a construction company to do condos. We couldn't. And so we went through like Big D, we went through Kier Construction, we went through multiple different, probably 12 different contractors came in, did bids and stuff. And all of them were way over the top from what we could afford to make it make sense on the back end for a cap rate. And so that was really frustrating. And sorry, I have perfect weed blowers. I'm normally not in this office. I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. We'll keep going then. So yeah, originally it wasn't the idea. It was going to be condos. We're going to try and just do like 2-bedroom, 1-bath condos, and that was going to be the entire place. And then as we got in there, we're like, okay, well, just kidding. We're not going to be able to do that now because no one will. And part of it, I guess I didn't know that, but big construction companies have to have an entirely different insurance policy for condos. I had no idea. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing, honestly. And nobody told me this up front either, so I was kind of like, oh man, but fine. You pivot, right? That's what we do. And then we did 3 different architectural designs. So the first one, we wanted 20-plex in there, same kind of layout with the 2-bedroom, 1-bath. But then when we did all the plumbing and kind of figured out all the electrical and stuff, there was no way to get certain plumbing to certain parts of the building. So I turned it into a 14-unit, but it still works, so that's good.
I'm really curious, how far of a demolition did you do? I mean, clear to the studs, or were the studs taken out and you only have I'm assuming it's a brick building.
Yeah.
And
So
do you go all the way to that and into the foundation? I mean, in order to bring in plumbing, there's a lot, even excavation, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. You really should see some of this stuff. You should come out. You guys should, the next podcast, just come out and see this craziness that we have going on right now. So there was a pool. We had to rip out the entire pool, and the city didn't just make us rip out just like all the, like the mechanical part of the pool. Oh no, all of the cement had to come out, the entire thing. So definitely tons of demo, and the hot tub, which was a really big hot tub. So the steam room, there's all of it had to go, which was really sad, to be honest, because I was hoping to keep, some of that, because it was in great condition. Sometimes our city officials and government entities like to make our lives a little harder, which is fine. It's fine. It's just, we'll leave it at that. Grateful they do their job. I mean, we're all staying safe, and that's good. The building's not collapsing, so that, I guess that's the only caveat that I have for that one. But yeah, so as far as, the basement, we did gut, so it's down to the studs. So what we found though was just rock, the original rock to the 1890 or 1880 facility or building that it was before it got burned down. So you see like the fire on the wall, like how it actually all happened, all the where they put coal in from the street, how they had to push it into the building. Like, it's all exposed now. So that's really cool. And I'm actually leaving it. I'm totally leaving it. I'm just gonna have to put a ton of lights in to offset how creepy and dungeony it kind of feels. But it's cool. It really is a fun just experience to see the original, faucet, because it hasn't been exposed since the 1800s. Like, that's crazy to think about. And then upstairs, so the second level and the third level, the stairs didn't get ripped out. We just ripped out all the purple. So all of the stuff that was purple, all that's gone, all the carpet. But we found real oak floors. So
ooh, that's nice.
I know, I'm super happy about that. And so we don't have to do it, we just have to restore the floors. So all of and they're huge staircases, and there's 2 staircases on both sides of the building that go up to each floor. So that was a huge win, and we didn't have to put in an elevator. Yes.
That's nice.
Yes, I know. So the whole basement is ADA compliant, which is cool. So there's one full-on like adjusted ADA, and then for like all the cabinets and bathrooms and such. But then the rest of them can just be ADA access. So that's how we got around it, which is awesome, because that saved us like $300,000. Who knew? I mean, an elevator, really? Why was an elevator $300,000?
Yeah, so don't be jumping on the elevators anymore, all of your kids out there.
Right? It's so, yeah, exactly. Take care of those elevators.
That's right. You never know until you have to buy one.
Right.
Or maintain one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I got a
ahead.
question. Like, tell me, do you have investors in this with you? Is it just you and the family together?
No, we have investors. So we typically, how we run our business, because we have a lot of students that kind of are across the nation to learn how to do what we do. And so we typically, most people are terrified to do their first deal by themselves. They just are. And I don't blame them. I really don't. Like, might as well have somebody to kind of like, okay, how do we do it? And let's make sure that we're safe. They're totally screwed, It's always a risk. I'm not saying, but obviously being a part of like a team like you guys or what we do, it's a lot more, there's risk tolerance because we've been doing this for so long, you know what I mean? And so we typically pair up with our students. We typically pair up with people so we do
it. We recommend that. We recommend that at least on your first time that you find part of your team and go that way. I mean, I don't know of anybody out there that would bring on an investor or bring someone in and kind of show them how to do it, particularly in this space, that would then feel like you are competing with them. The market's so vast and so wide that's never going to be the case. And this is such a perfect example where, I don't know how many people have driven past this building. I've driven past that building. I'm having a hard time picturing it right now. However, I know I've driven past it. And you're the one that came along and say, this is what it's going to be. So what are your plans for it? Or Scott, did you want to say more about, did you have more questions?
Well, no, I was going to say, I mean, you're 17 months into it. What does the whole project look like? Are you going to be done in 24? Is it going to be 5 years? How did you get investors on board?
So we ended up going with Kier Construction, and they gave us the right fair bid. They were able to kind of hit the exact margins and timeline that we were wanting. And so we, to get a permit from the city to even like say we're buying the property, right? We had to pick a construction company. So we did that. And so they told Kier Construction told us 6 months. Well, it's 17 months later. So obviously that's not been the case. But building department has just been really rough. So they've had it through the planning department for the last 5 months, but it's just sitting at the building department, just passing from one little person to the next person, just trying to, pass off our stuff. And that's been frustrating. So originally we had lined up funding. So we brought in so ourselves and a couple other people, we brought in like, I want to say it was 1.8 million total. Like that's what we brought in, knowing that the total remodel and the total project was like 4.6 million. So that was all in. And then on the back end should sell like what we have rates for right now is $5.6 million. So pretty good margin there. All of us should come home with, 1.5 million on the back end, which is really great. Even though we've been holding on to it for longer than we thought. But honestly, rents have just been going up. So I kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, right now, holding on to it longer is not necessarily a detriment since rents have been going up so fast in this area. We're definitely an immigration positive state, particularly in Ogden.
Oh my gosh, yes. So that was the other thing. So when I drove by the building, you had asked that, right? It's like, oh, what was your original? Honestly, so Ogden has a really cool opportunity zone. So for all of you that don't know what that is, basically it's an area that they have designed or designated on a map. So you can actually just Google, Ogden opportunity zone. And it's basically to provide value to investors like us and you guys to come in and be like, hey, make some money, but you're also going to get an awesome tax incentive to do so. So whatever we put into the project, total buying, remodeling, whatever, we get that exact. So we estimate getting about $4.6 million in tax benefits or tax write-offs in the next 10 years, throughout the next 10 years. So anybody that's a part of our group that is investing gets to write off, how much ever you invested into it, that much in tax write-offs. That's fantastic. So that's a great opportunity. I wanted that. I needed that. So like, why are we going to work in Ogden? And it really is the coolest spot. I don't know if you've been up there lately, but they really have done a lot of really cool things to bring higher class individuals in there and make it a cool kind of funky bougie town. Like it's a fun little downtown. I know that it's going to grow. It's 6 months ago, it was actually the second most growing economy in the nation. So Ogden's like kind of a little hidden gem that I'm excited about. But as far as like the ultimate goal, it will be the Ogden's only luxury apartment complex. Only. Wow. So there's a couple that are nice, and I'm not saying they're not nice because they are. There's a couple that they're big though. They're big buildings, right? And they have like 200 units per building and a couple little, luxuries. But nothing that's like, I don't know if you've ever been to like Fourth West in Salt Lake, or, any of those really cool, the Harvard building, things like that. That's what it's going to look like. So it's going to be, the 1920s meets the Edison style, and it's going to feel very luxurious. So there's 3 penthouses on the top floor. All of them face the temple. The huge windows too. So they're really cool. And they're big, units. So that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath of those. And we'll be charging $3,700 a month in rent. So pretty cool. And I think right now Ogden's highest is like 26. So we're pushing the limits. I know. People are like, are you sure you're going to get people to actually rent that in Ogden? The answer is yes. If you provide something for somebody to move into that meets that, perspective of what they want, of course there will be. You're going to get high-end people moving in if you could just create that opportunity for them. Right now, there's no opportunity. You're going to get people with low-income housing because that's what you have for them. So that's my philosophy. That's it. That's my goal. If you ask like the whole timeline, that's so what we have now. They're telling us we should have the permit. They've been telling this for a month, so we'll see. But really by next week, we should have the permit back. And then from there, it's 6 months. So once we have the permit at 6 months, I actually want to hold on to this now. It wasn't a part of the original plan. We were just gonna, fix and flip it, if you will. But I kind of want to hold on to it. So we're trying to figure out how to like negotiate with the different investors and stuff to be like, no, we want it. Like, let's just hold on to it. This is an incredible cash flowing property that's going to do very well.
What has been, when you went into this, your investors, what were their expectations? Were they expecting to have immediate cash flow? Have there been any issues with, we've been delayed by the city, or the construction company did this, or their backhoe's broken? I don't know, whatever it is, right? Yeah. There's always delays.
Always.
What kind of experience have you had with your students / investors in not meeting their expectations, and how have you taken care of that?
Yeah, it is a difficult process because we're responsible for, people's Roth IRAs and 401ks. And you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are investing not just for their health savings account. They're relying on us and, people like us to provide value and to give them what we had told them. And that's always hard, right? It puts us in a really, position where it's like, guys, I don't know what to tell you. Right? Like, here's all I have, like, but and most of our people are actually around the country, so they're not even here local, so they can't even like go there and be like, what's up? They can't. They have to just rely on our feedback and what we're doing and how we're doing it. So we do host weekly calls with anybody that's part of our investment group and just kind of go over the properties. We also use Builder Trend. I don't know if you guys have heard that product before. But Builder Trend's cool because you can actually update real time on the construction side of things. So because we have so many projects going on and we have different people all obviously partnered up with us, everyone wants to know different updates at different times. So each property has a specific, line item attached to it. So if something gets updated, or if the granite or the quartz gets put in, and everything gets kind of pushed into it. So they get their own login. They can see exactly in real time what is happening. Unfortunately, nothing has been happening with this building. Like literally all day, every day. We have a weekly meeting with our architect and Kier Construction every single week. Every Tuesday at 11 a.m. And it's the same every week. The last 2 months have just been, we called the city and they said that now it moved to so-and-so's desk and they're waiting for a stamp of approval. And then I'm like, oh, okay, great. So how many more stamps? We have 5 more stamps. You already have 5 stamps. I'm so confused. And we've been there. Like, that's been a hurdle too, is like getting people to believe you too. It's like, we're not doing anything. Obviously we have money in this too, right? We're not doing anything to hold this project back for any reason. But it is hard because partners and people who are maybe less educated, or people who maybe it's their first deal. Nobody in this deal is their first, because it's probably not a good idea if you're getting into a big project like this, because there will always be uncertainties. And I do think, I feel like I kind of went too far forward there. To backtrack, I think always the best case scenario for setting people up for success is to give them worst case scenario first. That's my plan of attack. Because if people go in thinking, oh my gosh, in 6 months we're going to be cash flowing, like you're saying, that would be really bad, right? That now we've had this for 17 months. Now they're not cash flowing and they would be freaking out at this point in time. So that's not how I want to do business. And I definitely don't want to be that bearer of bad news. You know, I am a lot of times, unfortunately. A lot of people are like, I'm sorry. But in this case, everyone knew we're in this for a minute, right? We're going to do as fast as we can. We're going to try and push this through as fast as we can. But this is long term. We actually asked everyone to be in it for long term. And if we wanted to sell on the back end, then that's what we would do. But the original plan was just to do enough to get then funding, right? So we could actually buy them out because we were getting commercial funding for builder funding, but they backed out because we held on to it for too long. So 3 months ago, they called us and was like, so you still don't have a permit. We're like, yeah, no, we don't. Actually, we don't have a permit. Like, when are you going to get a permit? We had them on the phone with the planning part. We had them on the phone with everyone, architect, trying to explain to them why we still don't have a permit. And they said, sorry, we can't tie up, $3 million for we don't know. We don't have a certain timeline for you, so we can't hold this up any longer. So they bailed. Well, I know, I'm so sad. So we're actually still in the process of bringing on some new people that would be excited about building up Ogden. Where we're at in this process, but people are, which is nice. People really are excited about where Ogden's going and the vision that obviously we have. It's so fun, guys. You really should come see it. It's so fun. You're local, right? Where are you at, Jason?
Oh yeah,
I'm in Logan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not. You're closer than Scott is.
True.
that's true. I love it. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that even people who do extremely well and are masters at their craft, things come up, problems come up, and it's always about how well can you solve those problems, because there's going to be bigger problems, and the bigger problems you can solve will provide more cash, and then there'll be bigger problems, and it just grows and continues. And so a lot of this just comes back to mindset. Got to have the right mindset, got to have the right team.
Yeah, amen. And you can't stop. I mean, I think people fail when they just stop and they give up. There's always an answer. You just have to find it. And it's people who just fold when the market turns like it is right now. So I'm also a real estate agent, and I was the real estate agent when I purchased that property, and I'll be the agent when I sell that property, right? Which is great. I call it triple dipping. That's what I'm kind of known for. Triple dip. But I think that in this market, like, we just came back from our big broker meeting, and I just watch people just everyone's panicking, and they're just trying to figure out how they're going to unload properties, if they're holding on to quite a few of them still, or what are they going to do, because all the rates are rates are going up, and then property values are going down, and I'm like, guys, it's just it just became a seller's finance market. It's totally fine. Yay, seller finance is back. Like, I'm all about it. Like, let's go pick up hundreds and thousands of properties on seller finance, and we can help so many more people doing that too. So that's a whole other tangent, but yeah, there's always opportunity, as long as you don't look at it like, oh no, the world's ending, and now because it's easy. When funding stopped on, we call it lofts on the hill now, but Little Audrey's obviously is what it was. When funding pulled, that's a pretty
big deal. That's a huge deal.
$3 million. So who's gonna fund it then, right? Like, and the problem is we also had hard money to facilitate the permit, because permit wouldn't even let us, with the city, do the renovation or get the permit without having that like the money and reserves, like, to show them, right, that we are able to do this. So we had hard money plus our private money all lined up and been in this scenario for 17 months, knowing that obviously financing would come in and pay everyone off, and all we go. Yeah, so we almost got foreclosed on like 3 times, and we obviously figured that out, so that's good. But that's it, right? Like, how do you, and I think that you just have to have thick skin if you're going to be in this industry. Just naturally, you have to just like, that's okay. Like, okay, like the next day, it's just fine, and it's just today. Like that's the other thing, is just get through today.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
So a lot of our listeners some of them are just starting. So if you had to go back and talk to yourself when you were first starting, what would be some advice you'd give yourself?
Surround yourself with a team to go out and do what you want to do. Stop playing with all your friends that are still not doing good things and behaving in ways that you shouldn't be behaving. And that's it. Just get educated. Find a coach. Find somebody who you can trust, that you can rely on, and wrap your shoulder, wrap around them as tight as you possibly can, and just learn. Because what you don't know will hurt you. And you might as well learn from somebody else's mistakes.
Amen to that. Amen. Jason, any other questions?
I want to know, it sounded like to me at one point that you may be on somewhat of a quest to help others to have the kind of life. There's a sign behind you that says, live the life you love. Mm-hmm. And part of that life that you're living, that you love to live, is giving back. What's your mechanism in giving back and helping others?
Ooh, lots of fun things, but part of it is exactly that. So we converted everything. We used to charge $20,000 to do education for like people to come and join our team and stuff. And we recognized that not everybody has $20,000, you know what I mean? And that's a really big investment when they could be putting that $20,000 maybe towards an actual project. They could be. And so we kind of pivoted and went, wait a second, let's see how we can help enough people in masses, right? So we did create a fix and flip YouTube series. So it's called Flipping with Mitch and Maeli. We can put the little tag in there at the end if you'd like. But it's fun. It's just a YouTube channel. It's been taking off pretty quick actually here. We just started about 6 months ago, and it's growing. It's really fun how fast it's growing. But basically we have 4 different parts of the series. So we have flipping education. So we actually show what we did on the project. Like, so how we acquired the project, how we partnered money on it, what it's going to look like, what's the money look like, how we structured the money, all of the things that go in and out of the actual fix and flip. And then, so that's the first part of the education piece. And then we do a flip and designs, which is where I show you how I'm going to do the layout, why I'm going to do that, like the trends for this season and blah, 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 right? And then the third one is flipping nightmares, because everyone wants the train wreck on all of these properties, because every property has one, all of them, right? There's not one that I'm like, wow, that one's so easy. Like, I don't have one of those. We've done over 200 flips now. And we have lots of, real estate holdings, and I just go, yeah, no, not any. It's always a nightmare. There's always a nightmare. So we do a nightmare on every, flip or acquired rental. And then we do a before and after. So it's basically how we purchased it, what it looked like. We show what we kind of did to fix it up. And then obviously the after, which is, ta-da, that looks so cute. But I felt like, I don't know, HGTV is amazing. I love it. It's great. But it did me a disservice and a lot of the people that I would work with when I first got started as an investor, because what you see on TV looks so fancy and so amazing, and there are no nightmares, right? It all just works out and it's all just fine. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. Yesterday, I got a phone call that my entire roof collapsed inside of itself in my dining room. In one of my properties, because somebody took out a load-bearing wall that wasn't supposed to be taken out.
Uh-oh. Oof.
What? Just there's no roof. It's just gone. It happened. And, so you get things like that where you just go, oh, moving right along. I guess that's what we're gonna do with today. And so that's the whole point, is to say it's not just easy. It takes a lot of being creative, and how are you going to overcome this specific obstacle, and that you're not alone. Because I feel like, again, more often than not, we do feel like we're alone when we're having challenging problems come up. It's like, no one has ever faced this before. You're wrong. Guaranteed someone else has. So leverage, talk to people, and surround yourself with other people who are doing what you want, because that's what the channel is for, is to make you feel like you have other people, that are right there with you, drowning in the same problems you are. And then we have a call every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for people around the world to jump on and ask us questions, because sometimes, like you said, there's things where they're just getting started and they go, I just need to know why did you say I could invest with a Roth IRA? What was that? Right. And then they jump on, they ask us questions, or I can invest with a My HSA account. Yep. Both my kids have rentals in their HSA account. Friggin' is awesome. Like things like, oh, how do you do that? Right? People get excited, but then they want to know more. And that's where I go look at the education chat. Unless you're going to pay for my time, unfortunately, I just don't have time for that, right? But at least it's a way for people to get educated without having to spend lots of money.
That's
Right.
good. We admire that. I think that's really good. That's part of what we're doing with this podcast is attempting to educate people to understand how to accumulate millions, enjoy the millions, and pass that on in the right way to the next generation. That's what we mean by mastering your millions. So you want to be in control of it, know how to do it the most efficient and straightforward way, how to avoid taxation as much as possible, how to, whether that's during your lifetime or passing it to the next generation. We get into some fairly creative things. Where the infinite banking concept, we talk a lot about showing people how to use creative financing to increase what they're doing right now and have tax advantages all along the way. So we really admire what you're doing. I don't have any other questions, Scott. It's up to you.
No, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. We would love to put something on the calendar, maybe in a year or so, and see where you're at and how this project's turned out. Fingers crossed, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I was gonna say no year. Let's maybe 6 months. When you say a year, we don't want this project to go another year. I'd love to have you come back and say this is what actually happened.
Yes, done. Absolutely. And then maybe I can share my screen and kind of show the before and after for you too.
That'd be cool.
Let's do it. It's on the calendar.
All right.
Any last words or thoughts before we go?
Subscribe, ring the bell, Flipping with Mitch and Maeli. We want to definitely share our passion of sharing wealth and how to keep your wealth, like you said. And the best way to do that is to subscribe and ring the bell to our channel. Gives the algorithm to the gods to say that you care about what we're doing, and definitely read comments, because sometimes we're just flying in the dark with like, what do people want to see, So it'd be really helpful to have some people chime in and be like, oh no, I have questions about real estate. What are they? Great. Tell us what you want to hear, because we can absolutely hit on those. Just tell us what you want. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. And we'll make sure to put contacts to your YouTube channel and other ways to get a hold of you in the show notes down below.
Okay.
Jason, any last words?
Nope.
Okay. Remember, guys, if you'd like to connect with us, make sure to hit us up on our Facebook group, Instagram, Twitter, or shoot us an email. All the links are in the show notes down below. Remember, mastering your millions all starts with your mind and your team. Make sure they are the best. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Master Your Millions with Jason and Scott Henderson. Check the show notes for any links or contact information about today's guest. Make sure to follow the show so you don't miss any future episodes.